Hello, Foxy listeners, and welcome to episode 287. Today, we're going to be talking about why you feel overwhelmed in business. And I'm going to call it out right away because if you have been telling yourself, I'm overwhelmed because I have so much to do, I want to challenge you today because I don't really think that's true. And honestly, believing that line is probably what is keeping you stuck. Because most people believe that overwhelm is a time problem, right? I just need another day. If I just had a few more hours. The truth is, it's not. It's a decision, capacity, and emotional load problem. And until you address those, no planner, no system, no get up at 5 a.m. routine is going to fix it. But today, we're going to talk about overwhelm. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how we can challenge the default narrative. So let's dive in. All right, welcome to the Fox Talks Business Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Fox, money mentor, business coach, and author. If you're a business owner who's been around the block but still feels stuck in the financial fog or hustling without getting real results, well, you're in the right place. Each week, I'm going to dive into money mastery, mindset shifts, and real-world strategies to help you grow and profit sustainably. You're going to hear unfiltered conversations, bold ideas, and practical, proven ways to start growing your business. So if you're ready to break past the plateau, make more, stress less, and have fun doing it, let's dive in. I'm so happy that you're here today. This is a topic that I think everybody has dealt with at some point in their life. And most people who are probably listening to this right now are feeling overwhelmed at some aspect of your life, because we've been taught this idea that, you know what, if I just had more time, I would be fine. If I could just have, another day in the week, a couple of more hours. But I want you to think, have you ever had a full day free? So, no meetings, no deadlines, no orders. And yet at the end of the day, you still felt overwhelmed. Or maybe it's just that you avoided the exact thing that you said you'd finally had time for. So maybe you took a day off from meetings and deadlines and orders because you wanted to get this thing finished, but you didn't. Unfortunately, that proves that it's not time. See, we use time as the scapegoat because, frankly, it's easier to blame time than what the real issue is. So, what are the real causes of overwhelm? Well, I'm going to break it down for you in sort of four things that I see the most. So, the first one is that you're carrying too many open decisions. So, every time you leave something as, a maybe, I'll decide later, I'll answer this later, that's all draining your mental energy. Thinking, like, should I launch this? Should I post this today? Should I change my offer? Should I invest in this or that? Maybe it's a course or a program. You're not overwhelmed because you have too much to do. You're overwhelmed because your brain is now holding 47 tabs open and you have no idea where the music is coming from. So what I want you to start practicing, and this, this isn't an easy, I can say, do this and it's going to solve this. But the theory behind it is that you need to learn how to close these loops faster. So this is about making a decision, even if it's imperfect, and then moving, right? Because when we sit in indecision, when it just sits there and you go, should I do this? Should I launch it? Should I post it? Do I sell this? Do I sell that? That keeping those tabs open, that indecision is heavier than you just making a decision and it potentially being the wrong decision. So, what I want you to start practicing, the practical shift that I want you to make is when you find yourself sitting there asking those questions or debating that, taking that time, draining your mental energy with this decision. I want you to make a snap decision. I want you to close that loop, make a decision and move on it. And then you can keep going. So the second thing is usually that you actually don't trust your own plan, you know, and if you were clear and confident in the direction that you were going, you wouldn't be constantly second guessing every move you are or you're wanting to make, right? You would know I need to make this move and this move and this move because you're confident and you're clear in exactly what it is that you want to do. But a lot of overwhelm disguises itself. We think it's overwhelm, but what it actually is doubt, it's comparison, and it's also sitting in fear of wasting time. Well, I want to do this, but I don't want to waste my time. I want to launch this project or this service, but what if it's just a big old waste of my time? Well, something for you to think about, but you sitting there worrying about wasting your time is wasting your time. Sort of the catch 22 of that. So what happens is instead of actually executing, you hover, right? You tweak, you research some more, you hesitate on doing something, second guess yourself. So the challenge is that you need to trust your current strategy. And if you trusted your current strategy for 30 days, no changes, okay? Because you've thought this through, you're smart, you know what you're doing. If you trusted your current strategy for 30 days with no changes, what would actually happen? Because I'm telling you right now, the constant pivoting of changing and tweaking and doing this and doing that, that's what's exhausting you. That's what's creating the overwhelm. So the third thing that happens is that you end up operating beyond your real capacity, right? You're planning your list, you're planning your life, your work based on you at your best case scenario, right? You are planning on when your most motivated self, right? When we are super motivated, when we are super excited because we have this new thing and we know it's going to revolutionize our customers and our clients, and we're super excited about it. We plan in that super excited state. Oh my God, I'm going to get so much done because I'm so motivated. Then don't stay too long, right? We also plan around the idea that we're like, oh my God, I could do this. It's so easy. It's going to take me 5 minutes. Anytime somebody tells me, oh, that'll take me 5 minutes, it never takes them 5 minutes ever. It's always more, right? So it's the this should be easy version of reality, right? So, what your actual capacity needs to include when you're planning out what it is that you want to do is what is your actual capacity for mental fatigue, right? We all get that. You know, I am not much good after 6:30 p.m., right? My brain starts to go, yeah, we're starting the shutdown sequence. You can do whatever you want, but we're going to make it real difficult for you because we've tapped out, right? We don't take into consideration life responsibilities, just stuff that we have to do to survive or keep those around us surviving. Our emotional energy, right? That's a big thing. I can be really excited about stuff in the morning. But again, if at 10 o'clock at night, you want me to get excited to get up and, go to the grocery store, it ain't going to happen. You know, I'm going to moan and groan the whole way there because my emotional energy isn't at the right moment. We also don't take into consideration your decision making load, right? And what that's going to be like. We don't think, yeah, I really want to do this new project, but this is going to mean a lot of decisions. This could be color, branding, where we're going to post, what we're going to do, when it's going to launch, what are the dates going to be, what are we going to say, what are the emails going to go out. The decision making load is huge, right? So we need to take ownership of ourselves when we're in the right place. So what happens is, again, we build this to-do list for a version of you that doesn't exist consistently. Okay. And that consistently is the most important part because there are times where you are going to have the highest energy, be the most motivated, be able to get shit done in 5 minutes, but not consistently because nobody does it consistently. So what happens is this snowball effect, right? We've planned for, we've planned beyond our real capacity. We're not meeting it. And so we start telling ourselves that we're failing. We just can't do this. I'm not good at business. But you're not failing. You've built expectations that are unrealistic. And yet you continue to try to live up to them. So, how do you fix this? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to start when you're thinking of planning something, I want you to plan it based on your minimum baseline capacity, not your peak, not when you are your most excited, most motivated, feeling the best. Go the other way. When you've had a shit day, when it seems like the world keeps throwing stuff at you, what do you get done then? And then plan around that. That's what you're going to get done. Because if you do it that way, when you do have those high motivational days, you're going to be checking stuff off the list, which is great. It's going to make you feel amazing. Oh my God, you're going to get 7 times amount of things that you wanted to get done in that day, right? If you do it the other, way, when you have a bad day, well, you have 10 things on your list, you got 1 thing done. Well, that feels really shitty. But if you have 3 things on your list and you get 3 things done in a really rough day, well, you know what? That still feels really great. So again, plan based on your minimum baseline capacity. And the fourth thing is, we emotionally over invest in everything. So this is especially true if you care deeply about your business. And I'm sure that all of you that are listening do care deeply about your business. You care. Every post matters. Every sale matters. It has to happen, right? Every decision that you make feels like it is high stakes decisions. So nothing feels light in your business. Everything feels like it is very, very urgent. And that emotional weight that you carry with that, that's exhausting. The hard truth is that not everything in your business deserves your full emotional energy. We don't have to give everything, right? You can post something and take it down. You can put something on sale and take it off, right? We need to stop taking ourselves so seriously. Some things should just be natural execution, right? We just do it. I thought of this thing. I wanted to share it. I'm sharing it, right? Doesn't have to be this big, huge debate with everything. But when we make everything that we are always emotionally over invested in every single decision we're making for our business, it's taking us longer and it's making us feel overwhelmed. So, again, the causes. First, you're usually carrying too many open decisions. You're not closing that loop. You're not trusting your own plan. You're not giving your plan enough time. I had mentioned that 30 days, enough time to actually start causing pivots for you. You're operating beyond your real capacity. You're doing it based on your best case scenario. And number 4, you're over invested in absolutely every decision that happens in your business. So, a lot of your overwhelm that you're feeling is self-created. And I'm not saying that to place blame on you, right? No blame, no shame, no guilt. That's the way it works. That's the way it works with my clients. That's what I tell my kids. No shame, no blame, no guilt. Okay? Because it's not about placing blame, right? It is self-created. I say this because you have the capacity to change it. That's what the difference is, right? You're overcomplicating simple decisions. You're holding on to things that in the end really don't matter. And you're avoiding the few things that actually do matter. And that's usually because they're hard or it feels uncomfortable. And then you're filling your time with everything else. Because let's be honest, there's probably 2 or 3 things in your business right now that are actually going to move the needle. But you're doing 17. It's no wonder you're feeling overwhelmed. So, how do we find a practical breakdown to be able to reduce this feeling of overwhelm? Well, again, apparently, I really like the number 4 because I realized that there's 4 things that I tell my clients to do. The first thing is step 1 is to identify your needle movers. So I want you to ask yourself, what directly creates revenue? No potentials. Okay. What actually has been putting cash into your bank? What builds relationships? This is both inside and outside your business. Okay. What improves retention? This again is employees or customers, right? If it doesn't hit one of those, if it doesn't directly create revenue, if it doesn't build a relationship, and if it doesn't improve retention, it's secondary, right? It's not a needle mover. Move that thing aside. Step 2 is to cut your active priorities to a max of 3, right? And I had mentioned this before, not 10, 3. And don't say, but they're all important. I've got to get all of this done. Don't care. 3. Because anything beyond that is where overwhelm starts to creep in. Again, especially if you're not having a good day, you can always accomplish 3 things in a day. Okay. And they don't all have to be huge things. So I had a client last week that said, she had 2 big things on her list. And I said, well, what do you want your third one to be? I don't know. I wanted to put it as clean my desk, but that just seems silly. I said, well, okay. Well, what do you mean? Well, my dad just got papers all over my desk and there's pens everywhere. And it's just so cluttered and I keep getting distracted. And I said, okay, well, if having a clean desk allows you to feel motivated and inspired and to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to take stuff on, then that is a task that 100% needs to be added to the list. So there is no such thing as having too small of a task on this list, right? Because again, we're working with that lowest case scenario of how our day is going to go. So step 3 is, and this is a hard one for a lot of people, but I want you to decide once and then execute, right? Pick your offer focus, pick your content direction, pick your sales method, and stick to it. Stick to it long enough for it to actually work. Because too often people try something, and if it doesn't immediately cause a Brinks truck to pull up in front of your house and start offloading bags of money, you're ready to throw it out the window, right? We don't give stuff enough time to actually work. And in today's day and age, with how fast algorithms and, our feeds and everything like that move, we need to stick with stuff for longer than what we usually did. So step 4 is to build a minimum viable week. So again, instead of planning your dream week, I want you to plan a version where you're a little bit tired. Maybe life is life in you. I'm having that week myself, right? Like life and personal stuff is just kind of getting in the way. Maybe plan for like when your motivation is low, when you're not feeling like, you're ready to pick up the pom poms and be rah rah sisterhood. Think about what still gets done in those weeks. What can you do that is actually going to help you get through and keep the business floating? Because that's your real operating system. So let's run over those real quick. Step 1, identify your needle movers. Step 2, cut your active priorities to a max of 3 a day. Step 3, decide once and then execute. And step 4, build a minimum viable week. Okay. So I want you to also remember that overwhelm is not a sign that you're doing so much. Okay. What it should be is a signal to you that you are unclear, that you're overextended, or that you're avoiding something important. And usually, again, it's because it's hard or it feels uncomfortable. So I want you to start treating the, I want you to start thinking of overwhelm not as a feeling, but just as data, right? Start treating it like data instead of drama, and you'll start to see everything change. Oh, I'm sensing overwhelm, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, what am I unclear about? Where am I overextending myself? What am I actually supposed to be doing? What am I avoiding? Everything will start to change. So, if this episode kind of hit a little bit of close to home, maybe you're realizing that it's not your time that's broken. Maybe it's your structure, your decisions, your capacity. You're not exactly too sure how to do that. This is exactly the kind of thing that I untangle with you in my 90-minute strategy sessions. So we don't just talk about what you should do. Okay. I'm going to help you get very clear on what actually matters for you, what needs to go, right? That's a big one. And how you can start to create a plan that you can actually follow, right? A plan that's going to actually feel good to you, that you're going to feel like, oh my God, I'm getting stuff done. Because I believe that more information is never what you need. You need clarity around the stuff that you do. So, what I want you to do, if you take anything away from this episode, what I want you to take is the next time that you find yourself thinking or saying, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed, I want you to pause and I want you to think, what am I avoiding? What am I overthinking? What am I holding on to that I don't need to be? Because that answer, that's where your next level is. That's the exciting part. So sometimes we need to go through the overwhelm to get to that next level, and that's okay. We're just going to do it in a shorter amount of time. We're going to be closing loops faster. And I want you to remember that you never have to do it alone, because there are a ton of amazing coaches out there that can help you learn these techniques so that you can get to your next level faster and with a lot less overwhelm. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, if there's something that you're curious about, this overwhelm came from one of our listeners that really wanted me to delve into this. So if you have something that you're like, you know what, I really want to learn about this, reach out on our social medias, on our email. You can even message on our website. We're always happy to hear your ideas and bring you the answers. If I'm not the one who can do it, I'm going to find the expert who can. So no matter what it is that you're doing today, always remember to have fun. Because if you're not having fun, hey, why are you doing it?